Hi everyone, thank you once again for coming. And today's quote is by Nakia Foma, who said, "May you never forget that when it was hard and you were overwhelmed and felt afraid and walked alone and felt invisible and did not have the answers and couldn't see the way and wanted to give up, you kept going." And that is resilience, everybody. And that is personified by my friend Shan, who is my sexy and sassy friend Shan, but also my sweet, sensible, and sensitive friend Shan. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm literally out of my zone, and I don't have words to explain how grateful I feel about this one particular moment, because I don't know even where to start, because whatever you see me, it's not me. It's like a mixture of a lot of experiences and the philosophies of a lot of individuals I follow.
Yeah.
They could be as simple as my teachers, my best friends, even like people I adore who are on television. So I think I'm not just one person, but it's like multiple people all together in one person.
Yes.
As a person.
Yes, I relate with that. We've had this conversation earlier. We are many in one, right?
Wait.
So, Shan, for the benefit of everybody that doesn't know you here, let's begin from the start and give us a brief account of your childhood so that then we understand why did you have to practice resilience in the first place. Give us an account of a little bit, like quickly, what happened and what made you who you are.
So I think without going to different direction, I'll directly jump to the point. So my parents were products of patriarchy, and they got married in 1979. But I was born in the year 1998. So there is that huge
That's 20 years.
approximately 19 and a half. So, when you're born late, when you're born at the time, no one is expecting you as like, hey, I'm here, what's up? So that kind of rate generates a bit of problems eventually when you grow up. At that moment, when you're a kid, you don't realize, because you see your parents as regular parents. But when I was like growing up, then I could sense the difference. Okay, this is something where I should have boundaries for my expectations. I cannot expect this from my parents because they are from different time zone. It's not their fault. It's not my fault. It's just the situation that we are, covered in. So I was born in West Bengal, and I was raised in different parts of the country. My dad was in railway. He got retired in 2014. So my father is from Andhra Pradesh, and my mom is like again a South Indian who was born and raised in West Bengal. So it's like a very diversified family. I have been very dramatic as well, which I mentioned, like products of patriarchy. So I was born in West Bengal, as I mentioned, and I did my schooling in Jharkhand most of the time. Like from kindergarten till 9th grade, I was in Jharkhand and Bokaro Steel City, a very beautiful place, I must say.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my childhood was really, really amazing. Till 5th grade, I was the kid who was like pampered by everyone. So, I was born at that point of time when no one were expecting me. So all the love, the focus of the family just got on me. So that was the beginning when I realized, okay, I'm different, I'm special. The general teasing that you get, ki, are you adopted? Are you sachi mein tum inhi ke bacche ho na? So I used to have that little doubt, when I was like growing up, because my relatives used to make fun of that and my cousins used to tease me. Bhale wo mazak tha, but it used to hurt. It used to pinch me a bit. And then I told my mom, she's like, no, agar hota to hum bata dete. But nahi ho. So I was like, okay, fine, I got my surety. And fast forward, I think everything was very fine till 6th grade. Because, in life you meet a lot of people. वो कहते हैं ना बिना विलन का हीरो का वैल्यू पता नहीं लगता. तो I got my first official villain. I don't want to take the name, but it happened in grade 6. I was a product of convent school, Holy Cross of Bokaro Steel City, and I was promoted from 5B to 6C. That's like sections of classes. So in 6C, I got a very amazing, that's what I thought both, like class teacher. But eventually, in all the schools, you'll find that one teacher is super toxic, who wants to prove her point at any cost, hook or crook. So in the whole, she again had her own category or, agenda to discriminate if you're a South Indian. And I was like a mixed person from various cultures. So she had something for me which was not on the right track. So there are days when she used to slap me for no reason.
What do you mean no reason?
No reason. Like she came.
Yes, see.
I am
Cut
just slapped and she will walk back. And so,
And only with you or with others?
there was one other girl, Sweetie KD. I do remember. God knows where she is. I wish nothing but best for her. Because for me to work in a different way, I don't know where she is. But if you're watching this, I wish you love, hugs and everything. So this woman, she started, like every day I used to cry because I don't want to go back to school. And my parents were like, "Ye to acha bhasa, matlab happy kid hai. What happened all of a sudden? Why is he behaving like this?" And I was like, मैं बताता नहीं था स्कूल में क्या हो रहा है. रिपोर्ट कार्ड्स कुत्ते मेरे खा जाते थे या फिर मेरे जो पेरेंट्स टीचर मीटिंग से मैं भूल जाता था. ये जो रेगुलर बच्चे करते हैं ना, मैं भी वही. मतलब आई टर्न इनटू like a byproduct of Shan and Kishore Avasti from Tare Zameen Par. Because I felt like that I'm scared all the time, I don't want to talk, but there is a problem. Because till 5th grade my grades were really good, 90%. But 6th mein aate, how can you suddenly drop to 30%? There has to be certain reason to that. So with the flow of time I realized ki, okay, this is something I really need to understand and speak out loud. And then I started retaliating, like, no, you are doing wrong.
So the teacher?
To the teacher, like, ma'am, this is not... I started having words in my mouth.
In 6th grade?
In 6th grade. So...
That can be the power.
Power, like,
bullied.
when someone is suppressed for a long time. Yeah.
It can be called bullied.
It is bullying.
It is bullying by a teacher.
By a teacher. And she did same thing. And I do remember the worst part of 6th grade was she made me go out and she made me stand in front of the wall for like 2 days. For 2 days, she never allowed me to get back in my classroom. And people were watching, people were heckling, you'll be very shy. Yeah. Because as a kid, if you're standing outside your class and then people will throw a little tantrums like shame. The kids that they don't understand, but it actually impacts you as a kid. So the second day, I haven't realized there was this gentleman who walked away and he said like, I think I know you. He called my father and I was like shocked because in that point, I never uttered a word about what was happening in school. My father got to know, he just came back from office directly to the school. And then the whole problem started. Like, then it was out loud. My father was very protective and he was like, how dare you to do this to my kin? So then she started doing it in different ways. She started reducing my attendance, my marks. She had her plans. She was like,
And there was this one time when she had said something to the class.
Yeah, she's like...
Made a statement.
She made a statement that he adopted it. Like clearly in the class because she used to watch my parents who were not on the same age category. So that one thing made me... I don't know what I was thinking, but I was super upset. I was like, should I cry or... I don't know how to react or reciprocate to that.
And also that statement adopted, I understand that time ka... why you would have felt bad, I can imagine. But she had also said something like, if anybody talks...
Yeah, why in this whole process, a lot of other teachers thought to sort this out. Who loved me, who cared for me. So my Hindi teacher, he interfered and he said like, what you're doing is not right. Because we could see what he is in other classrooms and what he is in your classroom. And we've been seeing him since nursery, so we have literally seen him growing from a toddler to a person who is like in 6th grade. She clearly she did it, like if anyone is gonna help you out, I'll ensure that person suffers. And she eventually did that. She did that to my other friends who were close to me. So I have a very close friend, like a sibling, Shifani. If it wasn't for her, I would have scattered into pieces because she was always there motivating me. She used to call me Rao. Even now she calls me Rao. That's my last name. She's like, Rao, sab theek ho jayega. And I used to cry and we used to sit aside, we used to share different boxes. So we were together since nursery till now. So if it wasn't for her, it would be a complete disaster. Because there were even moments when I was very, very suicidal. Because at that time, I know if I'll die, things will be sorted. I had no clue what death is. So without knowing how it is, you kind of have that thought, watching these serials, and somewhere as a kid you will notice that after death nothing works.
Bothers you. Will affect you negatively. Exactly. That must be the answer.
So that would be, even I started, I think, I do remember a glimpse of having this convo with Shifali that, I'm not, मैं मर जाऊंगा ये. Then she used to like, kids used to talk, like, mazak masti, no, you can't do this. Think about your parents. My mom, dad were really supportive. Also, apart from her, they were like, don't worry. Whatever will happen, we'll figure this out. Just you try to focus on your studies. क्योंकि मुझे मैथ्स को देख के मौत आती थी. ट्रिग्नोमेट्री और
हम सभी हमें डांस भी आते हैं. आज बच्चे को पढ़ाते हो.
मतलब इंग्लिश क्लास यूज्ड टू बी माय फेवरेट, बट मैथ्स क्लास आती है मेरे अंदर एक अलग सी, मतलब आई डोंट हैव वर्ड्स टू एक्सप्लेन, बट आई यूज्ड टू गो इन दैट टर्न ऑफ मोड. और टेबल पर मुझे पूछते, इवन टिल टुडे आई विल बी लाइक, आई विश आई डिड. सो आई एम जस्ट रिकॉर्ड ऑफ दिस. मेरे को बस एक ही चीज़ बोलने का मन करता है कि आई कर्स द डे यू वर बोर्न. I just want to say this. If someone is going to ask me like 13 tables, and I do remember my mom used to get a lot of tuition teachers, and I used to change them frequently because they're like, "Beta, तेरा का पहाड़ा बताना." Like पहाड़ा वहाड़ा मुझे कुछ नहीं आता. I'm like done. And I do remember I was very mischievous. मेरे सारे homework के किताब mix हो जाते थे, पन्ने फट जाते थे, mostly कुत्ते खा जाते थे. It was the regular dialogue because we used to have a lot of dogs and cats at my place, so that was like a common excuse. And I think मैंने बचपन में बहुत लैप था, like comparatively to other kids, मेरा थोड़ा criteria.
Then tell me something then, Shan. What comes out of this? So this is the first, because obviously we are going to move ahead to the other things that happened. This is basically a child, and ये hypothetical बात करने जा रही हूँ, इसका कोई जवाब नहीं है, but maybe I'm not sure, but maybe if your parents were not that much older, maybe things would have been different, but ये सब maybe वाली बात है. That's number one. Number two is child of such a small age having those kind of thoughts. So that is how your life began. Thankfully you had a friend and another person, of co-sufferer, I would say sweetie in a way, but your friend was Shifali. At the same time, it's tough to believe that there were no good teachers. So would you like to talk about some good teachers also around that time, or were they all bad?
No. I'll definitely mention teachers who were super good, who are the reason I believe I am what I am today. I do remember Miss Amy, my kindergarten teacher. She used to narrate these stories. I do remember Miss Rosaline, my English teacher in LKG, that is lower kindergarten, and then we have UKG, upper kindergarten. So Miss Rosaline, Miss Devina, they were there. From first grade till 5th grade, convent में एक zone होता है. 6th to 12th is the second zone. So in the first zone of first standard to second standard, I was like two teachers who played very, very vital role. The first one was Cecilia and Miss Usha. So Miss Cecilia used to do like, English, and Miss Usha was Hindi and Sanskrit, I believe. So Cecilia ma'am was such a sweet person that she was like, just if happiness can take a form of a woman, that will be Cecilia ma'am. And if you have to define grace, that would be Usha ma'am. Because both of them were so sweet, so charming. They used to treat me like, their own kid. And I do remember that, I think that's the time when I started speaking, and they kind of molded me. They kind of gave me a structure from a clay that, as a kid, this is how you should. Miss Cecilia.
That also gave you a little strength to go through.
Exactly.
Those tough moments.
I think that is one of the core reasons, like they molded me into something not to get suppressed all the time. They asked me like, keep your, like, believe who you are because you are an amazing happy kid. And Cecilia मैम बहुत डांटती थी क्योंकि मैं homeworks कभी English के करके नहीं आता था as usual. But she used to also have that consideration कि ये पढ़ाई करता है. Homework ना करना वो बच्चों का बचपना है, but actual में थोड़ा knowledge होना is a different thing altogether. So obviously, eventually with the flow of time, I got more amazing teachers. Even in in the different phases of my life. I will tell that later down the line, but I think Cecilia ma'am,
the teachers.
Yeah, Cecilia ma'am and Usha ma'am, thank you so much. I mean, I never told you this out loud because मैं तो वहाँ से निकल गया. But I'm sure if you're gonna watch this, I just love you guys and thank you so much for everything you did to me, and I'm sure you're doing the same to other kids. So thank you so much.
ये हो गई बात from the first speech.
Yes.
Now your dad found out and you decided to move.
Yeah.
That was the second phase which you had to bear. Talk about that. When you moved from Jharkhand to where and what happened there?
So once this Holy Cross card episode happened, she eventually reduced my marks and I failed 6th grade. shocked. She asked like, you have to repeat 6th grade. My father was like, you are the person who is the culprit, not my kid. And my father transferred me from Holy Cross to another school. I was there for a while till 9th grade middle. And then my father got retired and we shifted to Andhra Pradesh. A person who's born in North culture, if you're gonna kick him to South India, all of a sudden out of blue, it's nothing less than a nightmare. Because language, I mean, you name it, you'll find it. Caste, color, cuisine, everything like standard of living, everything drastically changed. Because I am a kind of person who would love to have, some light poha in the morning. But all of a sudden, if you're hitting my head hard with the idlis in the morning, how am I gonna reciprocate to that? It's gonna hit me hard, yeah. I mean, I
just sorry, but it's just funny the way it's coming.
no, but I love it right now. I'm not saying I love idlis, but
The way it's coming, it's hit me and it is in the morning. No, but that's a fact.
it's like for the first transition pack, you should
Please.
eventually take it a time. आज तुम बैठ के पोहा खा रहे हो, कल सुबह तुम दूसरे शहर में गए, वहाँ पे तुम्हें सिर्फ वही दिया जा रहा है जो वहाँ खाते हैं, and you have no clue. And in everything that curry patta and that coconut thing, not the right fit formation. Now I love it. That's a difference.
I'd have to point out something.
Yes.
Yeah. This platform actually is always talking about not being judgmental, right? Now imagine his tone, okay? Tone से होता है hard बात. यहीं पे अगर कोई बैठ के बोल रहा होता, and there is curry patta and everything. Who has curry patta? And idli, what kind of dish is it? This tone, and the way he said, you want to throw idli at me every day. See, there's the tone difference. You know very well that he's not being judgmental or discriminating or anything. He's saying it as it is. I think this needs to be pointed out, and that's who you are, Shan. I get it. Like how if you want to talk to people and point out a difference, that does not mean we are judging the human or forming an opinion. We just saying तुम ऐसे हो, you know. But एक वो tone आती है, इतना एक वो condescending tone आती है लोगों में which you don't have. ये मैं अभी it's impromptu. I'm not told you this earlier. If not, we've not discussed this. But it was funny. It because a fact.
No, but it's a fact, yaar. As a teenager, you would like to have a lot of experiences in a new city. So you are curious, like नया शहर है, नए दोस्त है. वो बस कुछ दिनों मतलब वो रात की चांदनी की तरह सुबह होते होते खत्म हो गया. And then I was like, मैं कहाँ आ गया, मैं क्यों आ गया? Take me back.
Were there any language changes?
Yes.
Start to know Telugu.
10th grade का बच्चा kindergarten के बच्चों के साथ पढ़ के बैठ के ट्यूशन क्लासेस में तेलुगु के अक्षर सीख रहा है. बिकॉज 10th में सेकेंड लैंग्वेज भी तेलुगु था. अब मैं किस पत्थर पे अपना सर मारूंगा, मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा था. तो आई डिसाइडेड कि मैं तेलुगु वाले पत्थर पे ही सर मारूंगा बिकॉज और कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है. तो आई डिड इट. आई लर्न द लैंग्वेज बाय Bokaro. माई फादर वॉज अगेन वेरी सपोर्टिव. ही यूज्ड टू सिट एंड मतलब 10वीं कक्षा का छात्र who's like very good at it and is learning Telugu. And somehow I managed to learn the language कि 10th पास हो, 10th standard के सारे एग्जाम्स एक तरफ. मेरे को मैथ्स से तैयार हो गया था. I was surprised. मतलब I hate maths but I'm in love with maths out of blue because Telugu was like a disaster management force for me, which I eventually learned. 10th grade खत्म. Again, a very good teacher, Miss Pratima. She was also like me. I think she was just like a female form of me as a mother, because she was again she was also not happy. Like she was happy, but that place where we used to live is not so good when it comes to creativity. I had this hunger for creativity since the day I was born, I believe, because I used to scribble, I used to do crayons, I like colorful stuff. And over there, I mean, I would like to point out that in Andhra, touchwood, it's changing right now, but back there when I was a kid, this Andhra and Telangana separation issue was going on. That impacted all of us because everyone were busy in this chaos on the streets. But when it comes to creativity, no one used to give a damn about. Everyone, freedom of creativity, because everyone had their own schedule. Agenda. I'll even tell you, if you are a girl, तुम MBBS करोगे, मतलब तुम 10th पास करोगे, तुम BPC साइंस के साथ करोगे, फिर तुम नीट के लिए प्रिपेयर करोगे, फिर तुम डॉक्टर बनोगे. If you are a guy, इंजीनियर बनोगे. Every single child I used to, like all my friends, इसलिए that's one of the problem I couldn't fit there is सुबह जाते थे, रात को आते थे, 3 बजे तक क्लासेस, 6 बजे तक ट्यूशन, 8 बजे तक एक्स्ट्रा आवर्स. bachpan, matlab, I used to play on the street when I was in Jharkhand, and I'm thrown in a situation where everyone are carrying like, little bags filled with lunch and breakfast and whatnot. It's like a different life altogether. So I found it very problematic because again, no one believed in concept learning, it was rote learning. तोते के मुंह में अक्षर डालो, एग्जाम में लिखाओ, आपका बेटा बहुत आगे जाए. 98% the top. My parents were not like that. That's true. They were like, believe in what you do. पास हो जाओ हमें बस होगा. But I did my best. I got 90% in 10th, 80% in other subjects. So I was really doing good. Till 12th standard, Pratima ma'am was very supportive because I missed playing Holi. I missed Pohoa. I missed little things that any child would crave for. Like going out for Christmas. As I was from a convent school, we used to have the school fairs, Halloween parties. I missed all of them. But she used to create a little setup at her place. She used to call me for lunch. And I do remember that we used to sing a lot of this Christmas carols.
Yes.
We used to sit and do paintings. I had another friend, again, his name is Rahul, who we were like...
That's the other Rahul?
That's the other Rahul. That's the other person altogether.
So thankfully, the second part of schooling wasn't, it was different culture.
Different culture.
But there was no...
No. There was no bullying.
It was just a personal adaptation to...
Adaptation and a bit of racism, of course. That pinch of racism will always lie.
Oh, unfortunately. And I agree with you, I feel there's a lot in our country. It's very invisible, but it's...
I'm still surprised because the first day I was in Andhra, in my school, koi bhi teacher bonega, introduce yourself. And I introduced myself like, hi, my name is Shanu. You can call me Shan or Sonu. That's what they used to call me. And I was like, okay, and my hobbies, this. My class teacher stood in the middle of nowhere and said, what is your caste?
Seriously?
Yeah, he asked me. He had no dirty intention. I would like to clear that. It's like the culture over there. They are like, what is your caste? Do you know? I said, I don't know. And they gave me a look from top to bottom like, you told me your own caste. I said, it doesn't matter. Because my parents taught me to respect, love everyone the way they are. I'm not going to see someone from the caste or color they belong to and going to make friends out of it. So
I used to say all this.
No, I thought it back in my head, but I said, sir, I don't know. I gave that awkward smile and I just started, like that's...
Wo hota hai school?
Yeah.
I wonder.
I was like, ye chal kya raha hai? Because, no one asked us this kind of question. And South mein jate ye pucha tha, couldn't, digest hi nahi hua yaar. It was like very problematic for me.
So, 12th over, I know that you got into LPU.
Yep.
Right? And take us quickly through that journey and then move on to the biggest chunk of the depths that you went to, right, with your dad. And usse pehle, the relatives, what happened when you got?
So
even your parents' reaction.
So very honestly, my mom is a loving woman, like housemaker, very small world. Because of this age gap, their world is not beyond a limit. For them, it's like a small world where your kids will be like with you all the time. They'll get married, फिर उनके बच्चे होंगे. आप एक छोटी सी जगह में एक छोटा सा घर बना के छोटी सी दुनिया में रह जाओगे. But me growing up in a different age category had different vision for the world.
Even who you are.
Even what I am.
Even how you were born. Like I believe that एक आप बच्चे होते हो with DNA, with genetics, with atmosphere, with environment, with your teaching, and also what you're carrying and who you are. So even as a person, as who you are, was different.
So I cannot settle for something simple. I always wanted that X factor.
Yeah.
If I'm working or if I'm doing some art. So
you got through LPU in what which subject?
I did my BBA and MBA. So that was like a 5-year course.
Chandigarh, right?
It's in Jalandhar, Punjab.
Yeah.
So because I was born late, as I mentioned earlier, I was the focal point of the family. My father had a joint family. And he was busy with his responsibilities of handling his extended family, his brother, their children. So when I was born, everyone were like, how is this possible? We were getting all the monetary and etc. But now they are caring for their own child.
They got jealous of you?
Exactly, that's my point. Yeah, I hate my relatives. I told my mom if I ever get a chance, I would just like to poison all of them, which I eventually did. I said it out loud.
ये बोल दिया.
हाँ मैंने मुंह पे बोला, उसके लिए थप्पड़ भी पड़ा, but I don't regret it because few of them are very good, but few of them are God knows which hellhole they crawled out of. But yeah, so that's the problem. And eventually, I do remember this. So my mom was like, my father retired by the time we were in Andhra, and I was very clear कि मेरे को आंध्रा में रहना ही नहीं है. मैं पढ़ाई छोड़ दूंगा, मेरे को जिंदगी भर आप घर पे बैठा के खिला लो. But if I'm doing something, I'm doing outside the state. It took me a while. I used to have tough time with my mother because she cannot let me go इतना आसानी से. Till today, she's like, वापस आ जाओ. I was like, तुम लोग यहाँ आ जाओ. That's my response right now. So eventually they agreed. My father again had a very clear vision that कुछ भी हो जाए, इसका पढ़ाई नहीं रुकना चाहिए. At least तुम MBA खत्म करोगे. So my father was very supportive. Even our financial condition was not that good at the beginning because my father was handling other people and
yes,
he retired. So
they made a house also.
They made a house in Andhra. So getting a house like from scratch to something, it cost. So my father, so again that perception, we'll have our house, my child, at my room, apne ka khana. So that kind of philosophy was in my household. So when my relatives got to know जितना reaction मेरे माँ बाप ने नहीं दिया उससे ज़्यादा ये लोग बौखला रहे. I said, so I still remember this day. I'll never forget this day when I announced it out loud that I'm going to Lati Professional University of Phagwara, Punjab, which is in nearby proximity of Chandigarh. The response was not congratulations. The response was, your parents are getting old, which is a fact. And then came the hard words out of the air. कल को तुम्हारे माँ बाप को कुछ हो जाता है, if your father passed away, तुम आ पाओगी टाइम पे?
This was the first.
That was the first common reaction. And I was like, I was fighting to go there, and all of a sudden I lost my interest. I just lost it. I was like, why am I even alive? I mean, I felt like a terrible kid. I felt I'm very greedy because, I was in teenage, till teenage. A lot of things will run in your head and heart. And I was like, what kind of a child I am? Why I'm so selfish? But eventually,
That's not fair.
I convinced myself that somewhere deep down, even I'm not that mature by then, I knew this is important. If I'm going to stay here, I'm going to live a life like a frog in the well. Uske liye wo puwaenge duniya mein, and I don't want it that life. I was very clear about that one thing. So eventually, first I left because my mom, I do remember this. My mom was very she cried in the starting like जा रहा है. जाने का जब time आया, my mom was like आराम से हो. My father came, to drop me. कोई नहीं रो रहा है. My father cried off the way back जब मेरे को छोड़ के जा रहे. But मैं घर से जब मेरे सारे relatives रो रहे, I was giving them looks कि ये क्या है, मतलब ये क्यों है और ये लोग कौन है. ये लोग क्या है, ये लोग क्यों है और ये लोग कौन है. क्या इन्होंने, are they the reason I'm born? No. Am I the reason they are jealous? Yes. तो ये रोना क्यों है? Why are you so unorganic? जो है आगे बोलो. So this is the time when they told my mom कि mom, dad, everyone was sitting in a sofa. So when I said I'm going out for studies, then like माँ बाप को अगर कुछ हो जाएगा तो तुम कैसे आओगे? मैं वो सैसीनेस तभी था. मैं साइड में मैंने मम्मी को बोला अगर ये लोग अगली बार दिखे तो मैं तो चाय में जहर देके मार दूंगा, भगाओ इनको. And legit said that. And my mom like, what is wrong with you? She went told me कि बेटा relatives है. मैंने बोला relatives है, भगवान नहीं, ना ही मेरे माँ बाप है. तो ना I made my terms very clear. My mom even till today, बेटा टाइम निकाल के सबसे बात कर लिया करो, सबसे हाय हेलो कर लिया करो. I was like क्या फ़ायदा, मुझे डिप्रेशन ही होगा और कुछ नहीं, क्योंकि फिर वहाँ भी they'll throw some silent words and they'll walk away.
There's no point.
And they did that eventually successfully later on when the problems came in my life. So that's how LPU में again Miss Vishali Kalra, an amazing teacher and an amazing person who created my life over there. I started hosting shows. I started, I started my life with Literary Society, which was like a little society over there. I was into debate, elocution. So
the blossoming,
the immature teenagers से वो जो थोड़ा grooming मिला है life का, that happened in Literary Society of India under Miss Vishali. She was like very sweet. Again, जब काम की बारी आती थी, she used to like गाली देती थी, but वो that was not गाली, that was like बेटा सीखो.
Guru.
She was like a true guru. I still love her.
Yeah.
So she created that, and because of her, I could stand in front of 25,000 people and I could host shows like I worked a bit with Miss India organization's Campus Princess and hosted few of that.
Oh yeah, I have to tell everybody why. How did I miss this? What I'm wearing today has been designed by him. By the way, how did I miss that? Yeah. The whole look and everything is all him. He's designed everything, kept me in mind, and did all this. So yeah, totally designed by Mr. Shan, and most likely we'll be getting some. I'm saying it in front in live. I mean on live camera. I will be giving you more stuff to design for me for VOS season 2.
Trust for sure. Then you have to be ready to get up whatever I'm gonna throw at you. Now I'm giving
I'll see your museum.
You have to be my blank canvas.
So I will be. I would love to. I'm an artist. I love blank canvases. Shan, we have to move on to the serious part because we have shortage of time.
Yes.
Let's move to the news that you got and how did you tackle that. And then on your own, I will not interrupt you with the serious. What were your lowest points? What did you feel then? That's
So, as I mentioned, Dad is 70. This is just before COVID. Life was very happening and happy. I was like doing acting. I was into debates. I used to go to AICs. सब कुछ बहुत अच्छा चल रहा है. We got the news like something like COVID might come. So, पहला मतलब 15 days की छुट्टी पहली बार मिली थी. मैं वहीं पे था because मुझे लगा कि 15 दिन के बाद everything will get fine. I'll be back to my university life. But then it got serious. I took a flight and landed in Visakhapatnam. वहाँ से my house is legit 100 kilometers away, just 1.5 hour of drive. मैं वहाँ उतरा, Mr. Modi announced the national lockdown, and I was stuck there at my relative's place for next 3 months. In these 3 months, I told you about my relatives, but fortunately, my Masi is a sweetheart, so I was there. But you don't want to stay at someone's place for that long, even if it's such a situation. I got the news that my father had a little fever when I came there. It was 22nd of March. I do remember the date as well. But in 3 months, his fever got like out of control. There was like they are staying in a place where the hospitals are filled with COVID patients. So I was very cautious. Kuch bhi ho jaye, doctor zar bula lo, but don't go to the hospital because you guys, my father is diabetic and getting COVID at that point of time, it's like a scary thing. We had no clue what is the vaccination or what's the medication. He had a little wound on his leg, which is caused by diabetes. That turned into a blood infection. His multiple organs were affected. Lungs were filled with water, heart had a bit of mucus, kidneys stopped functioning, he had bloating, he was sweating. Finally, they decided to get him to a hospital at a time when we couldn't find even a single bed. I took like a very special government approval. That was like again a process which my relatives helped me with, my Masi's kids. From that Visakhapatnam to my house, I just went. After I saw my father, I was like, I don't know how to react. I never saw my father like that. Never. I carried him. I decided to take an ambulance and let's go to Visakhapatnam. We traveled with a sick person who is in like legit terrible condition in our ambulance to a new city to find a hospital. So generally he was in railway, so he got that railway medical card. We just went to the railway hospital. They saw him, then like, we need him in ICU by hook or crook. I called my relatives, everyone. Few of them helped me out. Few of them said, हाँ बेटा तुम देख लो हम लोग शाम तक खाना वाना करके आते हैं. I was like clueless, a 21-year-old kid who's having such elderly parents. Mom was also with me because mom को मैं कहाँ ही छोड़ के आ जाता. मैं उस एक दिन डैड को लेके 5 अलग हॉस्पिटल में गया. फाइनली आई कुड फाइंड अ बेड इन वन हॉस्पिटल जहाँ पे इनिशियली तब एक इशू आता था. इफ यू गाइस रिमेंबर, कोविड स्क्रीनिंग करने के बाद रिजल्ट आने में 2 दिन लगते. 2 दिन के एंड इट वॉज मैंडेट कि कोई भी पेशेंट हो पहले कोविड टेस्ट कराओगी, नेगेटिव आया देन ओनली वी हैव अ डिफरेंट प्रोसेस. In that 2 days, his condition deteriorated. He was legit about to get on ventilator, but eventually they started working. In like few days, he was fine, and in few months he was out of the hospital. I took a breath. Things were getting fine. This was the lowest part of my life because I was born in a different convent atmosphere, and at this point of time, I was sleeping on the streets next to the hospital road. legit road पे सो रहा हूँ because no one were allowed inside. They said कि तुम लोग अपने घर जाओ, कुछ होगा हम कॉल कर देंगे, but हमारे वहाँ घर ही नहीं थे. My mom stayed with my relatives, but someone has to be there with the patient. So I used to, मैं रात को आता था, मैं सुबह दोपहर तक वापस जाता था. दोपहर से लेके शाम तक my mom used to sit on the same roof.
And you used to sleep on the...
I was literally used to sleep on the, like, कुछ bench मिल जाए तो bench. There are days when I slept on the floor of the hospital. Legit entry gate के बाहर जहाँ पे just normal floor हो. I just slept there with a little blanket. There were days.
These days would have gone in a like a hypnotic state, I'm guessing. And I remember you telling me that Kanika, abhi to I can talk to and be anybody, talk to anybody. How did you cope? Number one, what were you feeling at that point? And is there any relation here with the stark differences in your life and the fact that there is a massive gap between? Is there? I'm asking.
See,
I don't know.
So I had this thought ki, because I'm born late, this responsibilities of parents getting ill, because eventually I realized that everyone will die. You, me, everyone. But that, no, as a kid, I would never like to see my parents sick. Any one of us. We would like to see our parents healthy, happy, and if they die at peace, with the happiness that they lived their life, and we, being their offspring, will celebrate that. But my father was in a vulnerable condition, so am I. In this duration, Kanika, I got weird situations on myself. I got jaundice, I got alopecia. When I got alopecia, my hair just went off, like legit.
I've seen that picture. It's like a
And
patch.
like some patches started, and my relatives, they're like, तुम्हें शायद cancer हो गया, एक बार दिखा लो. Out of session, out of helping me out, this is how it happened. This was my last year of MBA. God knows how मैंने MBA खत्म किया, is like a milestone for me. So फिर क्लासेस ऑनलाइन शुरू हुए, तो मैं मोबाइल पे क्लासेस, लैपटॉप पे क्लासेस सुनता था. एग्जाम होता तो मैं मम्मी को बोल देता, आज मैनेज कर लो, I'll sit at my master's place and give my exam and I'll come back. That's how I finished my MBA, and I'm grateful about it. My mom really helped me out there. But even she's an old woman, yeah, how long she can resist? Eventually, she also had PP issues. So that point, I was like, what on earth is happening with me and why me? ये why me का आंसर मुझे हॉस्पिटल में ही मिला when I saw people in much terrible conditions who literally, so I was afraid of dead bodies, but eventually I was so much into that hospital atmosphere that I lost my charm and lost my that sensibility factor. I just saw people dying every day. Every day night I used to sleep, someone used to cry out loud because they lost their love. So that long-term situation at a hospital really impacted and screwed my head. Literally screwed my head. But after that, I think I coped up. मेरे को like वो आदत हो गई थी कि now I have to handle this. And this is not for the first time. For 3 years, I'll not tell how many times, like 10 to 11 times it happened in 3 years. The routine was that ICU में जाते थे, we used to get better, we used to get him out of ICU. एक हफ्ता एक महीना घर पे, फिर same condition. And every time, starting my dialysis and then draining out his fluids, and then he couldn't sit or stand, he was on wheelchair, and then he was totally on bed. So I was like a very different kid, but after that one particular incident, I saw myself as a person who could survive this. Yeah. I can survive anything.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm grateful about everything that happens in my life. I'm very possessive about things that I have, because I have this fear of losing it. I was always happy with whatever I have, but this situation that life threw at me was totally unexpected and I was not ready. So now I kind of have this factor back in my head, like whatever I have, whatever I'm eating, whatever I'm wearing, I try to enjoy it. I always crave for my friends, no matter how much time they spend with me, because after so much of time I'm being loved by someone, I'm being cared by someone. They ask me, how are you, what are you up to? That little things, they like share memes, that makes me really happy. And I live my life in that little moments. So after all of this, my relatives were throwing, fuel to the fire. Eventually, that era ended. I got alopecia. This was a time when I shifted to Bangalore for internship. MBA खत्म हुआ. I was like, milestone खत्म. तब मेरे सर पे startup का भूत सवार था. Because I knew कि life कैसा भी हो, compromise नहीं करना है life में. तो फैशन का कीड़ा वो एंटरिंग करते करते पकड़ लिया था. I initiated a startup. So Bangalore internship खत्म हुए, गुड़गांव पहुंचा 6th of August. 6th of August August के टाइम पे just before my birthday, like एक महीने I'm born on 6th September. अगस्त में यहाँ पहुंचा, स्टार्टअप का प्रोसेस शुरू किया, एक ही कॉमर्स प्लेटफॉर्म खड़ा कर लिया, रजिस्ट्रेशन कर लिया. माई फ्रेंड्स आर सिटिंग देयर, दे नो माई जर्नी, लाइक हाउ हैप्पी आई वाज व्हेन आई गॉट रजिस्टर्ड. लाइक I mean, I can see my name on the internet as like a board of director, as a CEO of a startup. I was really happy. I was making clothes. Everything was going like okay. Just before my birthday, 4th September, I was getting ready. I do remember I was like preparing something like कि कल मेरा birthday है, I do this and do that. I got a call from my relative like your father is about to get over, just start. Birthday सब भूल के जो सामान मैंने बैग में रख के एयरपोर्ट के लिए दौड़ा. 12 बजे का चेक इन किया. लोग मुझे हैप्पी बर्थडे विश कर रहे थे. कुछ लोगों का मैंने विश किया, वेरी क्लोज टू मी, बिकॉज दे न्यू दैट आई एम ऑन माई वे टू समथिंग टेरेबल. मैं वहाँ पहुँचा. सो आई आस्क्ड द डॉक्टर लाइक आई वॉज एक्सपेक्टिंग अ वेरी टेरेबल, बिकॉज ऑन फोन सीधा टाइम नहीं है, बस पहुँचो. आई थॉट दिस इज द लास्ट कॉल. बारिश में भीगते हुए एयरपोर्ट से 100 किलोमीटर दूर, he was in ICU again. I saw him. I asked doctor what it is. He said he's alive. I just cried there. I just lost it. All this time, what I was holding, I just lost it there. And my relatives just thought they knew nothing about this condition, that what he is suffering from. It was like a CKD with AK. So they were like kidney fail हो गया, हल्ला मचा दिया. And for them, kidney failure is dead. So my father's kidneys are functioning better now, thank God. So I told my mom that day, after this point of time, what I've suffered in this flight, and जिस तरह से मैं आया हूँ, मेरा बर्थडे है वो अलग बात है, बट जो मैं माइंडसेट के साथ यहाँ पहुँचा हूँ, अगर इन्होंने फिर ये ट्रिगर किया, you will see a different person who will not even think twice to utter a word. And मेरा ऐसा होता है कि I am very sweet, but मेरे को ऐसे सिचुएशन में गुस्सा है, मैं I'll go crazy. That happens with me. Because so अभी भी मेरे को कभी रात को panic attacks आते हैं, कभी I get anxious, I get nervous, just because of this, मेरे को dreams where I see people's screams. अभी बहुत कम हो गया honestly, very rare, but it happens. This is what happens with you when you have to face certain consequences. It was very terrible. फिर मैंने स्टार्टअप पे फोकस किया, एंड इस बीच में मैं जब गुड़गांव में था, आई मेट माई अमेजिंग फ्रेंड्स यार, लाइक मोहित इज देयर, अभिषेक इज देयर, राहुल इज. So
can we name all of them?
Yeah, wow, that is Mohit Tyagi, that is Abhishek, that is Rahul. So I got very like, I'll not call them friends anymore. I think family is the best word, because
And I understand.
even if they kick me, I'll be happy for that, because that's something I've craved for since I was a kid. And they were like, they're organic. ऐसा नहीं है.
Organic, and organic is your takya pillow. Organic for everything.
Yes.
But before anything, Shan, I would like to put an input here that, we may, whatever incidents he's talked about, all of us have experienced those. We have experienced ill health of our parents. We have experienced shitty relatives. We have experienced bullying. मैं तो कह रहा, I'm from the, my dad's from the army, so I've experienced this every 2 years, But the difference and why you are here is कितने गैप में, एंड आपके माँ बाप भी आपसे उतने बड़े हैं. So that's the difference between maybe you and me, right? I am 20 years older to you.
If I was
तो इतना छोटू
maybe Chotu is a different person. I think I just got a perception like if I was born at the right time, I would be her age.
Yes.
मेरे भी बच्चे.
Because for his parents, exactly. His parents, no, it's a fact, because your parents and my parents are the same age, and I'm 20 years older than you.
Congratulations.
The point being that छोटा बच्चा जो फॉर्म नहीं हुआ है उसके ऊपर इतना फेंका गया. That's the point why I called you here today, Shan. That needs to be made clear. And resilience, this person could have easily shattered or gone wayward or gone into weird things and become bitter, resentful, and said, screw the world, मेरे साथ ही हुआ है. You've chosen instead to emerge. That's why. And uske,
so honestly, this happened because of the support systems I got. Because
of the
life will never throw something at you when you're not ready. Life will, if it is throwing, it'll always, वो कहते हैं ना कि जिंदा बचने के लिए तिनके का सहारा, but it actually threw big locks on me. It manifested and I met my friends. It manifested and I got that motivation out of hospital. It manifested, that's the reason I think I was able to get over it, because they were trying to help me out. But when they thought ki I need more, they told me, you need help. I went to therapists, that helped. When I felt low, I called them, they were there.
Yeah.
When I felt low, I messaged them, they were like, just tell me. So they cared in a very different way that most of the friends will do eventually. I don't know how other friends work, but our relationship is not like, you know, like with Mohit and with others. Like, वो caring ना छोटी छोटी चीजों में दिखता है. Like, you know, I cannot name it.
No.
But it will be appearing in that small little concerns that he'll put.
And that a person like you who has gone through so much will notice.
That's no.
I know that. I know that.
kind of magnify.
I thought it was notice because I'm kind of relating with this. But with that, we come to the last bit, Shan, where you having gone through so much at a young age and after the circumstances you were born with, which again I'm saying older, much older parents, right? What do you have to say to the world? What is your voice of silence and the message to the world?
See, if I have to summarize all of this, I think we all will have situations. We can never compare our situations with others because the pathway we are going through is different and the pathway that anyone else is going to walk is different. As a parent, I'm sure I've seen this in my parents and I'm sure this is same with every parent, that they don't want to see their child suffer in the way they did. But in this whole thing, they kind of forget the fact that we have our own pathways. We have a different, formula to sort our issues. So this whole thing creates your personality out of the experience you have. I would like to summarize it in a form of a story that in a jungle, there is this animal that keeps on hunting behind a fragrance. Dorte, it eventually dies, but couldn't find the trap, the source of that fragrance. The joke is the fragrance comes from its own body. We call this animal, in English we call it musk deer, in Hindi we call it kasturi mrig. I have decided that I could be anything, but I don't want to be this kasturi mrig. I want to explore my dimensions. I don't know what I am, I don't know who I am, but I know that eventually with the flow of time, I need to be different person for different situations, and I'm not gonna let anything impact that or that decision I'm gonna take, because for every situation, I have to use a different formula for life. Where there is a problem, the solution will come from that very source. Because if there is a darkness, the light, the ray will come from there. कहते हैं कि दिया तने अंधेरा होता है, but बिना दिए के अंधेरा भी नहीं दिखेगा. So I think most importantly, I was screwed with my head in hospital, but I found my source of happiness when I saw other patients. I was grateful for my life. When I was sleeping on street, I know the luxury I have right now sleeping on bed. When no one cared for me, I have such amazing friends that I'm ready to die for. I know, like, this is precious. Yes. So enjoying everything you have in your life, because once it's gone, then you realize the worth that you might have done better. I just don't want to.
Let's not live there.
I don't want to live there. I just want to keep whatever I have right now. I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna live it. And that's how I turned into be a social butterfly who is like, everywhere, colorful. And so now I'm ready. My dad is still sick, not totally fine. He's able to walk with that little walker thing. My mom wants me back at my hometown. The situation is safe. But now I'm able to adapt and now I'm able to manage. Now my focus is I should be financially independent. I should get a good job so that I can create a setup and ask them to bring them here. Because I'm determined that for them, getting out of that place doesn't exist. But where there is a will, there has to be a way. If not, then we have to create a way. Because if I'm going to sit and procrastinate ki kismat mein diya hai, Bhagwan dekh lenge.
Listening.
That's not how going to work. God is not going to come and stitch your clothes. You might ask him to give you the strength and creative ideology to get it done, but eventually you have to do it by hook or crook. That's where your life will be. Because देखा जाए तो कीचड़ से कमल निकलता है, but एक बार the flower blooms, no one will remember the fact that it is out of the
कीचड़.
कीचड़ is the source. my situation was like a egg and a potato. अगर मैं अंडा और आलू एक ही साथ गर्म पानी में डालूंगा, one will get hard, one will get soft. External situation will be similar for all of us, but the change has to be internal because all of us have different problems. And as human beings, I'm blessed with good friends, good support system. So, good people. And one message to everyone that I always utter is be kind. It doesn't cost a penny because you really never know what someone is going through. Your one little word of kindness can really empower someone and can make them believe that they can face it. Because अगर कुछ सिचुएशन में हो रहा है तो ऐसा नहीं कि वो लिटरली आपकी मदद करेंगे, बट वो जो कहते हैं ना, लाइक दैट वर्ड ऑफ विजडम, that sense of having some big background, I found it in my friends, I found it in books, I found it in a different way. You might also find it in a different way. So always be kind with people, because once we die, people are not even going to remember us.
Except for, they say that it's how they made you heat.
Simple बात है.
That's what they say.
सब शर्मा जी की लड़की के बारे में बोलते हैं. अगर शर्मा जी चल बस से, no offense to Sharma.
Sharma, no offense to Sharma.
Sorry.
शर्मा जी लड़की.
हाँ.
शर्मा जी तो ये हुए.
कोई ये नहीं कहना. अभी see that's how I work यार. That's how my sarcasm works. शर्मा जी अगर नहीं, कोई सारे शर्मा जी 100 साल चाहिए, बट इवेंचुअली जब चल बसेंगे तो नहीं बोलेंगे कि शर्मा जी को नीचे नहीं किया और जलाना है, बोलेंगे कि get the dead body down. So when you die you will lose your day. तो किस बात का गवर्नमेंट है यार? पैसा आएगा जाएगा, but people will stay.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
And thank you very much for it. But the last line that he's going to wrap up.
Okay,
is yes.
So
is the mother of all lines, and after that,
I think I'm just saying this because I just जब हमारी बात हो गई तो I just said it out.
मुंह से ऐसे
निकल गया. मैंने भी पता नहीं कहीं सुना होगा. So generally in my journey I've learned one thing. वो my life, if you have seen, if you have heard, वो पहले डर था कि कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, मतलब मेरे को डर लगता था कि लोग क्या कहेंगे. अब मुझे डर ये लगता कि मैं कुछ उल्टा ना कह दूं. मैं कुछ ना कह दूं, because then it will be a trouble for them.
Because उनको डर लगना चाहिए कि मैं क्या बोलने वाला.
So now I know my boundaries, I know my line, I love my friends, I love my family. But अगर ये लोग इन फैक्टर्स पे कभी गलती से भी पहुंच जाए and मैं ट्रिगर हो गया,
then
जय माता.
With that into that, guys, thank you. I think JT asked it was. Thank you, everybody.